What is up, dungeon dwellers, crawlers, seekers, and for everyone else in between? This is your new favorite show. No, I'm just kidding. But this is Dungeons and Donzos. This is your boy Donzo, like always. Back at it better than ever. Hope you guys loved the Star Wars, review. But let's get to brass tacks. Let's get down to business. Money talks, bullshit walks. And today, we're looking into the world of the evil within two. As you can see behind me, right there. Anyways, so, Evil Within 2. You're asked, there's tons of reviews of that. We're going to discuss some things that other reviewers don't talk about. And that's what this channel, or segment, Dungeons and Donzos, is mainly going to focus on. Exposing and crawling deep down into the depths of all the dungeons and finding that secret, that one thing that no other YouTuber or reviewer talks about. In this episode, we're going to compare and contrast Evil Within 1, look at Bethesda games as a whole and their progression of how the game works, and we're going to look at all the different gameplay elements and graphics fidelity and graphic settings and horror aspect and gameplay. So stay tuned. Alright, you guys, so we're up here at the load screen. So Bethesda has been an all-time one of my favorite studios. They've always made decent games. I'm glad to see them expand the way that they have into having other smaller developers and other developers working with them, just besides game studios and Bethesda Game Studios and Bethesda's two separate companies, obviously, and ZeniMax is sister company. But so as you see, the Evil Within 2, the load screen's fairly the same as the first game. The graphics, now I will say I have the game set on ultra settings, or RX 480, 8 gigabytes, so there's not a problem there. It does look good, it is better than the first game, but it's not, I wouldn't put it as far as the greatest graphics, and I mean, I'm playing on full blast ultra. It looks good, it's a great looking game, but it's not the best looking game I have seen. So you start out in a general hub-like area, just like the first game. There's your save point. You have a office area in the back section of this area where you have some collectibles, as you see. Some of them might ring a bell. You got the Fallout, Doom, Wolfenstein, Elder Scrolls, and I believe that mug is Dishonored. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a few shout outs there. The game's systems of movement and the combat are very smooth. You can kick doors open or open them up slowly. You can get around. I did adjust the field of view. As you see right here, we have a weapons crafting system, so you can upgrade a plethora full of weapons and different customizations such as firepower, ammo capacity, reload, and what's such. Then you have your crafting system, just like from the first game, where you can you can craft ammo and crossbow bolts and health. This will be your main safe zone hub in the game, this whole area. This is also, just like in the first game, you have a level up station. In this game, what up, girl? She likes to get up close. That's my boo right there. Anyways, there's your locker system, just like from the first game, is back. You collect random keys throughout the open world areas of the game. There are a few small ones, sandbox style, but great. You can choose which one to open. You get ammo, medical supplies, and whatnot, etc. The leveling up system and progression in this game is very much so like the first game. You get green goo that's surrounded around the open world area and linear missions as well. You can level up any of those as you see on the screen. Combat, athleticism, health regeneration, yada yada, so on, so on. And they each have different perks, like one, you can just show it on the screen, you press Y, go into bullet time. There's different abilities you can unlock as you get further on in the game. So as we move down the hall, as you can see, it's very smooth. We also have a shooting range. What up, girl? Shit, yeah, baby. Same nurse. She hosts a shooting range, so you have gallery mode and chain attack, whatever. It's whatever you like. There's also a set of rewards that are given for completing each stage of difficulty of both of those. So this is just your hub area of the game. The game does good. I have a field of view setting that's set so I can see it better. As you see, if you look on the options, I have the field of view at 80, which it does go up 90 more, so you can see a little further back, see more of your character. It's default set at 65, so you're right above his belt line. It was a little too close for me, so you can adjust that on this game, which is good news. As you see, the mirrors transverse you to the hot zones is what I like to call it, but you have a flashlight also you can equip, turn on or off, and the game has a very eerie vibe. This has like a hellish type theme. It's very traumatic. Your character goes through a lot like this. So, this is an example. He has a lot of voices in his head. He goes through a lot of pulls and bends in and out of reality. As you do know, you are in the Mobius, which is kind of like the Matrix in this game. So you could say it's like Matrix meets Resident Evil meets Silent Hill. So, it's pretty fucking badass combination. The guns fire smoothly. It's just like Resident Evil 4. It feels good, especially with this view. You have a peripheral of got different types of pistols, so each gun can be switched out. You have types of shotguns and pistols and etc. Just like you have different bolts that go in your crossbow, like fire, ice, and lightning. So, it's a very solid game, good horror aspect, a lot more action based. So, we just looked at some gameplay footage of Evil Within 2 on PC. I'm running full blast, ultra settings on everything. So that's about as good of it gets for the graphics fidelity, which is decent. I would say, it's not the best, it's not the worst. It's definitely an improvement from the first game. I wouldn't say it's like Witcher 3 graphics or, Dying Light was an older game that had amazing graphics. But it's definitely better than your RE games, besides, well, Resident Evil 7 looks really good. But you can really tell that the developers who worked on Resident Evil 4, which was a tremendous success, and it laid down the groundwork for future game developers to create those third-person, over-the-shoulder views, where the camera is right there behind you. It really revolutionized. Even Silent Hill was a game that was a horror genre, but Resident Evil turned more action-oriented, more quick-time event. 7 brought it back just like Silent Hill did to the roots, and Silent Hill is more of like a psychological horror game, which this game does very well. There's two, if you look at those two games and blend them together, you have a really nice match of the two, Silent Hill and Resident Evil. So the Evil Within does take an emotional toll on you. It has a compelling and something that drives you forward to push forward into the story. It definitely has some shock there, some twists and turns down narrow corridors with ghouls hiding behind each door. No. But it's definitely a good game. The combat's smooth, it's a lot better. The progression system is fairly well, as you saw in the video. It definitely has some good things about the game. Now we're going to talk about, we looked at gameplay and other things that, if you're looking to buy this game, what it would be like. we're going to compare it to the first game. These are some things that you won't hear a lot on reviews. Now, the first game, in my honest opinion, definitely had more of a jump scare. Oh shit, oh, you know, like that type of thing. It did that a lot to me. Now, that being said, this game was creepy, but I don't know if it's because I've already played the first game that some of the scares they used just didn't work quite as well. There were some times where I was like, whoa, you know, type deal. But for the most part, the first game really just was scary to me. It really was. And the thing about that is, for a horror game, it doesn't sit well against Resident Evil 7, I'll say that. It sits very well up against all the other Resident Evil games and third-person shooter genres. There is an open world segment where it feels like a small sandbox area. It's very small. You have other areas you can traverse to that are also kind of openish. Choose your own path. You'll go back and forth a few times. But it doesn't really get repetitive, because each time you traverse through this open world environment, the enemies do change and they get harder, and there are other types of enemies that'll be wandering. But the good thing about the game is once you kill an enemy in the open world segment of the game, they do remain dead. So it is good to almost fight and get your skill points and your weapon parts and everything you need to level up your character. See, the thing about this though is, in the first game it would tend to avoid sneak past, which, trust me, there's a lot of stealth in this game. I'm not saying that. It's not a negative. It's just in retrospect to the first game and what Bethesda and Tango have done with this one, they have made it a little more streamlined as far as the action, but not too much to where you wouldn't say it's a good game or a sequel in that sense. Like, it stays true to the original game. The original game was good, but it came out during a time when Xbox One and PS4 and these current gen consoles that we have were just coming out, and it wasn't really promoted as much. I mean, I obviously heard of it, didn't play it till sometime after, but it was a weird time. People were still playing Xbox 360 and PS3 and slowly converting. It is worth going and picking up if you can get a good deal for Evil Within 1. Evil Within 2, they're definitely... Now, do you have to buy and play the first one to play the second one? No. You can play the second one and get a fairly decent understanding, but I honestly recommend playing the first one because it was a good game. It did have the shock value. It did have that eeriness to it that I just can't explain. It was very creepy. They're both very creepy. And I would definitely rate the game an 8 out of 10 on my charts. And on my scales, I meant to explain this earlier. Games like Morrowind, 10 out of 10. The Witcher 3, 10 out of 10. Skyrim is like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 too. Fallout 4, I would give it like a 9 out of 10. It's not as good as New Vegas. I give it a 10 out of 10. There's only very few games in my lineup that are almost perfect games. Very few. So 8 is good in my books. An 8 and 9 is 9 is like a really good game. You've got to play it. 8 is, 8 and 7 and 8 is more of the you can wait till it goes on sale, but definitely play it sometime soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was informative. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay footage, and as always, keep searching for them secrets in them dungeons, and I'll see you on the next Dungeons and Donzos. Bye, guys.